This episode,
we examine Space Precinct's false start.
We're heading home the hard way in the Randomizer.
and we've got even more of the wonderful Christine Glanville
That's all coming up in Pod 79
of the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson and Richard James.
It's Pod 79 already.
Yes, or as the French would say, Pod 6019.
Yes, they would.
Is that right? 79? Yeah, they
Yes,
would.
or as the Germans would say, Pod 69.
Are you actually doing it in
70.
German? Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
you can
I'm sorry.
tell we are truly international here at the Gerry Anderson Podcast,
try
even
to-
though we only present it mostly in English, except when we badly pronounce the name, the number. Right, yes, so we're here for about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half to
Yeah,
do
probably.
some Gerry Anderson stuff.
Yeah.
We've got Gerry Anderson news, we've got
Yep.
some fab facts, we've got Christelle's Randomizer, we've got
Yeah.
Plot of Peril.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we do? I can't remember.
We've got the randomizer. Did you mention the randomizer?
I think I said the Randomizer.
I
We
think
can say it
we've
again.
covered all bases then.
Brilliant. Well, we do all those things. It's all Gerry Anderson based. We cover most of the shows, and we'd love to hear from our lovely listeners. That's you.
Yes.
Yeah, you. No,
Yeah.
you. Actually, I'm actually talking to you.
Yep, not you. Out the way, you. Yes,
Yeah.
you.
Yes, you there. So do email us, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk, with any of your questions or thoughts or criticisms or fashion tips.
Oh,
We'd
yeah.
love to hear any of those things.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, what else should they do, Richard? I feel like I've stolen some of your thunder, because you normally do all that stuff.
Well,
but-
you've launched straight into the thing, haven't you, without even so much as a buy your leave. I mean, people don't even know who they're listening to, Jamie.
I'm shaking it up. Really? Did we not say that bit?
No.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, who are they listening to?
Well, last time I checked, I was Richard James, and you look awfully like...
Moid from Terrorhawks.
So
No,
you
I'm
must be.
actually Jamie Anderson. I'm just checking. Yeah, yes, I am. I
Definitely.
just checked the name label in my
Yeah,
hoodie, and
that's
it's
right.
me.
Yes, and we're still here with the Gerry Anderson podcast, but you know that because you've probably been with us for months. I mean, a lot of people have been with us since day one, haven't they?
Yes, which means 18 months
Yes.
so far, which is kind of crazy.
It
So
is really.
Thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a part of it, because we're always hearing from our lovely podsterons with suggestions and thoughts and stuff, especially
Certainly are.
on the Podsterons Facebook group,
Yep.
facebook.com/group/podsterons.
Yep.
If you want to join, please do. But remember, there are 3 questions to answer.
That's true.
Many of you are joining and not answering those 3 questions, and therefore gatekeeper Dickie James
That's me. Hello.
will immediately bar you. He won't block you, but he will bar you.
Yeah.
So if you are applying to join, then just answer 3 questions, just to make sure that we don't get any people spamming us and
No.
people agree to be nice and civil to each other.
Yeah.
So often online people aren't, but amazingly, our podsterons are just lovely to each other.
Yes,
And,
they are.
We're very proud of that. So thank
Absolutely. And can I just say also, if you do feel like inviting your friends to join the Facebook group, please do, but it might be worth letting them know, because just occasionally we have a few people who don't even know if they've been invited to join, and so don't get round to answering those 3 questions. So do by all means invite your friends, but just drop them a message as well and let them know that you've invited them along and that they should join in and answer to the 3 questions.
you. Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
And now you know all the details of the police state that is the Gerry Anderson podcast and
Exactly.
group. Let's give them something a bit more fun
Oh, yeah.
with
What do you
this
have in mind?
pod's Fab Fact, I'm thinking.
Oh, let's go for it.
Okay.
Now, time for this week's Fab Facts.
I'm hoping I'm going to bring you a Fab Fact this week, Richard. I mean,
Yeah.
mostly we do come up with Fab Facts.
Yeah.
Very few stinkers.
No. Some really, no. Generally, they're quite passable.
Facty. Yeah. So, as usual, if you're new to this, then I am coming to you live from my office in Wales. I'm surrounded by piles of books, many of
He is
which
as
have
well.
stuff to do with Gerry Anderson. And I've
Yeah.
got one right here.
Yeah.
We flick through the book, Richard shouts fab at a random point, and then hopefully on that page I find a fab fact to tell you. And you might find it interesting.
Yeah,
and if
that'd be
not,
nice.
then it's only a couple of minutes wait until the next section, so there you go.
Exactly.
Okay, so here is this week's book, Richard. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, always ready.
Then let's go flicking.
Fab!
Well, we've started jumping all over the place in terms of decades because we're now in the 90s.
Oh, we're in the 90s. Okay, yeah.
But this is a fab fact which is going to interest you, Richard James.
Is it now? Makes a change.
Rude, because you, Richard James...
Hello.
I don't know if any listeners will know this, but Richard here was in a Gerry Anderson series himself.
Yes.
It was Space Precinct,
Yes.
in which he played a character called Hubble Orin.
That's right. Everyone's favourite.
And he doesn't like to talk about it very much, but he's quite proud of it secretly. Yeah, he very rarely mentions it to anybody.
Well, funny enough, now, as we're on that subject, so I'm about to appear in a tour of Grandpa's Great Escape. We're playing UK arenas over Christmas and the New Year, and they published this week online the whole cast list. So we've got Nigel Planer, and we've got Siobhan Redmond, and after every member of the cast, it's got little, in brackets, things they might be known from. And it said, for my part, Richard James, brackets, Space Precinct.
There you go. Lovely. So your secret is now out.
Yeah, you see it? Yeah, that's right, exactly. Everyone
you can't get away from it. Yeah. Well, there's a micro fab fact to warm us up.
Yes.
But here is the fab fact, and this is about the lost very first episode of Space Precinct.
Oh.
Now, you may think you know the one I'm talking about.
Demeter City, I think it was called.
But there was one before that. So here we go. Mm-hmm. Gavin Scott's 1992 Space Police script, because that's what Space Precinct was known as before the clash with the Lego trademark.
Yeah.
His pilot script was called The Max Factor.
The Max Factor?
Yes. I mean, I'm surely they get sued by the makeup company, but there we go.
Yeah, you think so.
Anyway, it told how Captain Dave Brogan...
Oh, no, I don't like that already. No.
All right, Dave. Yeah, Captain Dave Brogan.
Dave Brogan, yeah.
Yeah, Precinct 88.
Yeah, leave it out.
Well, we've just created a whole new Space Precinct spin-off here. Anyway, how Captain Dave Brogan's arrival in Demeter City to assume command of the local police force met with the disapproval of crime lord Hieronymus Maxwell.
Oh.
Who kidnapped Brogan and attempted to feed him into a compactor at a space junkyard.
Oh, nice.
There we go. So,
wow.
However, when the series went into production in 1994, the producers abandoned the Max Factor and commissioned the new introductory episode, Demeter City, by Paul Mayhew Archer.
Yeah.
Which is the one you know.
Yeah.
So in that one, Lieutenant Chuck Brogan...
getting closer.
And Officer Eddie Haldane...
Oh, getting close.
...applied for an operational transfer from New York to planet Alitorp, almost.
Yes, right.
to trace a gang of arms smugglers controlled by alien businessman Mr. Flex. Right. Unfortunately, constraints in the series' shooting schedule, caused by the unexpected early screening of episodes in the US, prevented Demeter City from being filmed, leaving Space Precinct without an opening episode.
Yeah. I mean, did that matter, I wonder? I'm not sure we miss an opening episode, really. I think it's quite fun just to be plonked in the middle of the action.
An Origins thing can be really slow, but I don't know, I have a feeling like a chase for a far-off star system, to give chase to smugglers or whatever it was. I've already forgotten, having just read it 30 seconds ago. I think that's kind of exciting, and it also gives you a bit of context for the distance from home and how recent it is and all that stuff, and I would rather have had that than a lot of the kind of sickly sweet family stuff they ended up with to try and give him, human context.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, fair enough.
So it could have been interesting. Now, maybe, just maybe, there's a Big Finish story there to be done on audio.
Yes, you're right. I think definitely.
The sort of origin story.
That's right.
There you go. Nick Briggs, if you're listening, then nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And if you're listening, Podsterons, and you would like to hear an audio prequel of Space Precinct, then do tweet at Briggs Nicholas.
Oh, the poor man.
At Big Finish and let them know.
Yes.
Because that is how these things happen.
Absolutely.
A lot of the time.
I like it.
Right. I think that's probably enough, isn't it, of this Space Precinct fact? So,
I think so, yeah.
Okay, then that's the end of this week's
Max Fact.
We are so simpatico, Dickie. It is amazing.
It's scary, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I like that. I love it when the Fab Facts talk about Space Precinct. That's really nice. Yeah. Makes you feel right at home.
Yes, quite right too. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people actually I've noticed who are rediscovering Space Precinct or discovering it for the first time, in fact.
Absolutely.
Now that the DVD is out there.
Yeah.
So if you are a recent convert to, I almost said convict, a recent convert to Space Precinct, we'd love to hear from you. Tweet us at Richard N. James or...
I'm Jamie Anderson.
Thank you. And hashtag us Gerry Anderson Podcast and let us know even if you have tried it and you're not so keen.
Yeah, sure.
We're happy to hear that.
Oh, of
But
course.
even happier if your favourite character is Officer Orin.
Absolutely. Well, Rob Pollard did exactly that on Facebook, actually, on our Potterons group. He said, glad I bought Space Precinct on DVD. I'm hooked. 5 in and 19 to go. That's good. So I reckon he's over those difficult early episodes.
Yeah.
By episode 5, I think, what's that Snake he's on now? That's a good one.
Oh, yeah,
That's when
Snake's
it's,
great.
Yeah, starting to come
Like
on
that
its own.
funny little miniature shot of the snake once he gets out into space.
That's right. But apart from that, it's all right.
That's a bit of a miss, that.
Also on our Facebook group, Willow said, my friend just messaged me to tell me that she'd Googled Thunderbird Christmas decoration in the hope of getting me a gift, but misspelt it as Tinderbird Christmas. I got lots of half-naked ladies as Mrs. Santa.
Right, well, be vigilant,
Yes,
Potterons. Don't
do.
misspell Thunderbirds, for goodness sake.
Absolutely. And Charlie Merriman posted, hello everyone, hope you're all very well. It might be a long shot, but I'm hoping you may be able to help me out. A friend of mine had a couple of scenes in Space Precinct when he was a part-time extra. His big 5-0 is just around the corner next year, and his children would love to be able to locate one of the masks he wore on the set, as he does a lot of charitable stuff without fuss, and he's a really decent guy. The mask may be gone now, but I found an image from a past convention, and Charlie has posted that on our Facebook group. So if you know where this particular mask might be, do let him know, because it'd be great to locate the mask and get it back in touch with its previous wearer. That would be rather fun.
We should also reach out to our friend and Space Precinct aficionado Christian Tarpey, shouldn't we?
Yes.
Because
I bet he'd
he'll
know.
possibly know. He might even own it. You never know. Well,
that's
in
right.
fact, we have another listener, Wayne, I think.
Oh, Wayne
who's
Oates, that'll be.
Yeah, he's got quite the Space Police and Space Precinct collection too. So between them, we'll be on the case.
Yes, indeed.
We're like Orin and Romek solving crimes
We're a bit like that.
across the country.
Yeah. Although I'm not even
people's
sure
birthdays.
Rowan and Romek ever solved many crimes, to be honest.
No, and this isn't really a crime either. So
No.
we're
But
not
apart from
really
that-
anything like them. Yeah, exactly the same.
Exactly.
I'm the short, tubby one. You're the. Yeah. Enough of that. On we go.
Yeah.
Would you like some Gerry Anderson news?
I thought you'd never ask.
Well, I'm asking now, so let's just do it. We're getting ever closer to the big day.
Oh, yes, my birthday, I know. Just round the corner.
Yes, because you're just 2 days before or after Mummy A, aren't you?
That's right. Indeed so, yes. I'm January 28th.
Goodness me,
So
yes.
nice of you to bring that up. Anyway, what
Yes.
else is in the news?
Well, we are closing in on Christmas, which means everything is calming down, closing down a little bit and getting a bit quieter. So this is a very short and sweet and nice Gerry Anderson news.
Oh, good.
If you would like something to entertain your ears other than Richard and I across the festive period, and I highly recommend you do get a bit of variety into your audio diet, then you may well want to try some of the Big Finish audios. I know lots of you have already done so. Some people hear Big Finish and audio and think, oh, what's that?
What's that?
I don't want to sign up some other website or whatever. I mean, you should do, because Big Finish are purveyors of the finest audio drama in the land,
They are.
possibly in the universe.
Oh, yeah.
But if you would like to access some audio drama from the worlds of Captain Scarlet and from Terrorhawks, then you can now get that from the Gerry Anderson store, shop.gerryanderson.co.uk.
Oh.
If you go to shop by products, you'll see downloads in there.
Yeah.
And you can download yourself some bits and pieces to listen on your device or on whatever medium you've got to project audio.
Right, you're making this unnecessarily complicated, I think,
Doesn't
Jamie.
sound terribly technical, does it? Anyway, yes, there's 3 whole series of Terrorhawks. They're great fun, really enjoyable. You've also got 3 full Spectrum files starring Wayne Forrester, Liz Morgan and David Graham.
Yeah.
They're lovely. So go and grab them today. I think there may even be some bundle offers on.
Brilliant.
And finally, first was the first thing, and now secondly is the
and now
final
finally,
thing.
Yeah.
Christmas is pretty much upon us. Today is, what is it, Richard? The 16th, I think?
Must be about that,
16th
yes.
of December. Mm-hmm. So really, in the next couple of days, if you want to get anything for Christmas from the Gerry Anderson store, then you need to order it now. Shop.gerryanderson.co.uk. That's if you're in the UK. If you're outside the UK, it may not get to you in time. But there's all sorts of goodies coming in the new year, and I think there's also going to be a New Year's sale coming up. So either grab stuff now if you want it for Christmas presents, or maybe just, hold off until the sale. Won't be too long.
Yeah. Sure.
So that's it, really.
Great. Okay. Fair enough.
Thanks to all of you for your support in the Gerry Anderson store. As you all know, I'm sure, and as I keep saying, every penny you spend there goes directly on promoting Dad's legacy and helping us create new stuff. There's some amazing stuff going on behind the scenes that I just can't tell you about yet.
Yeah.
In fact, potentially some quite astonishing stuff, which is a little bit further away. The stuff takes time, but you are all feeding into it by doing what you do. And whether you're buying stuff from the store or just listening to the podcast and sharing it. So thank you all. I feel like I'm doing a Christmas message now, so I will stop and save that for next time.
Okay.
And that is now the end of the Gerry Anderson news.
That was the news, the Christmas news.
Well, technically next week is going to be the Christmas news, but it was quite Christmassy, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And beautiful. You're in fine voice.
Well, thank you, Jamie. I'm glad you noticed. Now, you did mention the store there. We have had an email, in fact, and this is from Mark Wilson. Mark Wilson says, good morning, Jamie, Richard, and other fellow podsterons. I hope you all managed to grab some bargains from the store over Captain Black Friday and the weekend. That's a couple of weekends ago now. He says, I myself purchased a few items, probably more than I should have. One of those items was the Captain Scarlet 50th Anniversary audio series, which I'm really looking forward to listening to as soon as it arrives. And it got me thinking. So here's my question. Has there ever been any interest or talks about releasing full audio series of original favourites like Stingray, Captain Scarlet, Joe 90, etc. Basically audio versions of the TV shows. I spend a lot of time driving around in my van at work, and personally I would love to listen to full episodes in audio format, particularly my favourite Thunderbirds, to which I know there would be a lot of mountains to climb over, cough cough, ITV, if they would ever consider it, etc, etc. He then says, P.S. Congratulations on finishing your latest novel, Richard. Oh, thanks. And he says he's got a question for me. I myself am not much of a book reader, and sorry to say I haven't purchased any of your books yet. Fair enough. I prefer audiobooks, he says, so will you be releasing audiobook versions of these? As I'd be sure to purchase them in this form. And that's from Agent Wilson, Mark Wilson. Yes, absolutely, yeah, that's my intention, Mark. I'll try and do that sometime next year, I suppose. Get all 4 books out on audio format once they're all done. But what do we think, Jamie? Stingray, Thunderbirds, audio adventures of?
I would love to do it, and it has been discussed, and you're quite right, Mark, saying that there are hurdles to overcome in many respects. I mean, one of the things is voices. I mean, obviously on audio, it's vital that we get the right voices.
Yes.
The majority of the voices are no longer with us for the majority of those series.
Yeah.
So then it becomes the case of, do you go through a full recast? Mm-hmm. Do you try and keep some voices, original voices, or is there then a huge mismatch?
Yeah.
What stories do we tell? Do we restart? Do we try and continue? Can you continue with new voices and characters? It becomes really tough to get it right.
I suppose so.
That's not to say it won't happen, and it's certainly been discussed. As you know, Space 1999 Breakaway was out earlier this year.
Yep, fully recast.
Fully recast, and we've got more Space 1999 coming next year. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, that there will be more stuff coming in the next little while. Oh. But I can say no more for now. But we absolutely consider these things, but getting them right is essential. There is no point doing it if it's not right. So, yes, keep on listening. Yeah. Keep an ear out, and maybe some things will happen soon. Maybe.
Great. Like the sound of that. Andrew Novink, I think, says, Hi, Jamie and Richard. I've been enjoying your podcast, but I have to admit to only having discovered them after one of you left a comment on a YouTube walkthrough that I did of my Space 1999 themed virtual reality environment.
Yes.
I was tough to get that sort of acknowledgement from you guys, and it makes me happy to see people getting the same nostalgic pleasure from this sort of fan-made content as I do in creating it. With that in mind, I've reached a point where I consider the VR project, the feature rather, somewhat complete, so I thought I would share the content links with you, and perhaps we can pop these up underneath the podcast.
We'll put these in the show notes and on the Facebook group, yes, and it is awesome. That was me that commented.
Great, Jamie, yeah.
I was looking for Space 1999 stuff around the time the Breakaway was out, and it's a beautiful VR environment. If you want to visit Moonbase Alpha and feel like you're there and go onto the Eagle launch pads and all sorts of stuff, he's done a fantastic job, so thank you for doing that. We love fan projects like that, and yes, the links will be in the show notes.
Nice. Well done, Andrew. So thanks for getting in touch. You can get in touch with us simply by emailing us, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. Don't forget you can hashtag us Gerry Anderson Podcast on Twitter. You can tag him, I'm Jamie Anderson, or me, Richard N. James, or post it in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/podsterons.
Yes, thank you.
There.
And lots of people have been posting their plots of Peril, Richard.
That's true.
So very quickly, shall we update folks on what this month's plot of Peril is, courtesy of the plot device, and how they can enter.
Let's have a listen back first to see what the plot device gave us last time. Are you ready? Here is your Anderson character. Oh, Father Unwin's gardener and fellow secret agent, Matthew Harding. Here's your random everyday object. A roll of cling film. And finally, your location is... the Mars Chocolate Factory near Slough. There we are. So, take those three things, Podsterons. Can you weave them into a convincing Gerry Anderson plot of your own choosing and send them in to podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk, pop them on Twitter, hashtagging them Plot of Peril, or pop them on our Facebook group and I'll see them there. And I shall read out a winner. Is it the next pod or the pod? I think it's next week, isn't it? Pod 80?
It is next week, yeah.
Wow, that's gone quickly. So,
crazy.
You got a week.
Yeah. Quick, go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are they gone?
No, they've gone off to work now. But those of you who've stayed behind after class, you're now going to be treated to something rather lovely, which is yet more of our dear late friend Christine Glanville.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, more from this interview from 1991, travelling through the supermarination years. Christine talks about some of her most memorable moments, the people she worked with, and I think gives a real insight into what made those supermarination years so successful, and also they hint at what it all meant to her. So here is part 3 with Christine.
So what was your brief for making Titan? Just make him as nasty and evil a man as possible.
Well, no, I didn't have any brief at all, but at the time I was sort of rather favouring Laurence Olivier, who was much younger in those days. And so I sort of had Laurence Olivier in my mind, the eyelids and that.
Yeah. And it didn't bother you making such an obscure character where he had a different coloured skin and...
Oh, no, I loved making that.
Yeah, that's real fantasy.
Yes,
yeah.
I loved it. And of course I took this character, I got it finished, and I'd worked lovingly on his face,
Oh no, yes.
And so it was done. It went through into the workshop, into the wardrobe, and Betty took this, you see. And as I was coming out, there was a crash, and stood still as everybody's in the workshop. So kind of a silence, and then Christine. I sort of went back and she dropped it, and this face was cracked. The sort of metal that was sort of holding the lip in position, the pivot, was broken away. The leather was cracked. I was dead silent. I looked at this. Sorry. I said, "It's okay."
So back to square.
That when I had to repair it, but I did repair it.
Was that during filming or before it had all started, or?
No, this was just after I'd finished it. She was going to be dressed,
And you made Agent X20.
Yes, that's right.
Remember who he was? Did you base him?
I like doing villains. Yeah, well, he told, I've forgotten who it was that told, I have an idea, it was Reg that suggested Claude Rains with these, but with these very big eyes. And, Claude Rains wasn't really as bad as all that. He wasn't so sad. He was, when I look at old pictures now, sort of quite attractive. But anyway, this character wasn't, was he?
So that series is in colour, so did that give you more scope?
Yes. And I remember that it was the first series on British television to be made for the colour. And so there was no reference in this country. So we did a a test bit of film, and Reg took it over to America because we've got nothing over here to even try it on to see whether we've got the colours right. He took this to America, and they showed it on their screens. He came back, and they had to repaint all the sets because, of course, they'd used far too many colours. It looked sort of absolutely terrible. So, I mean, this is why, you know, they did this test. We haven't got it right. And but it was still a preparation period, so it didn't matter. So I think that's quite interesting, in fact, that, you know, it was the first series made for colour television in this country. I mean, Gerry did a lot of firsts, you know. He doesn't get any credit, really, for any of it.
No, because it's all gone off now to America and other things have come up.
But that's right. I mean, it's a typical British thing, isn't it? But I mean, he was the one that started using monitors attached to cameras and that sort of thing.
Yes.
They tell this to people now, and they are very surprised to hear it, you know.
With Stingray, one or two people who've worked on it said that series had a lot of charm about it.
Yes, that was one of my favourites. And the swimming sequences were lovely, and the fish, the underwater sequences were very good to do, and they looked good. I think it was perhaps because it was water as a natural element, and so it gave something to the models and the puppets.
Was that any more difficult when you had to do the underwater sequences? Not that the puppets were in water, but...
Well, the swimming was quite difficult because we did it at high speed, and to give the feeling of weight. We had, say for instance, with Marina's hair, which had to float in the water. We had a series of fans along the floor facing upwards, and we used to have to take these puppets through. We used to race along the bridge, going as fast as ever we could. And I mean, what the puppets were doing, it looked dreadful, but when you saw it all very much slowed up, and the hair was sort of looked as if it was floating in the water, it looked absolutely superb. But I mean, what we were actually doing was so crude, it wasn't true, you know, but it looked good.
There was one scene which somebody complimented recently. They said it was a skating scene in Stingray, where I think it was Troy and Atlanta were on some ice, and that was to music, and their legs were sticking out. And somebody complimented you on that.
I had forgotten about that.
But that was another nice scene.
Well, but it must have been. I can't remember doing it.
But they were sort of standing on one leg like that, and sort of going round and round. That was a wonderful scene.
You've actually seen that, have you?
I've got it on video.
Have you?
Mm.
Oh.
I've got the full series, if you want to see them.
Have you?
Mm.
Where did you get those from?
From the shops.
Really?
They've stopped making them now, but I got in there quick.
I would like to see that sometime. Anyway.
Do you? So, are there any other features about Stingray that where obviously you're advancing with the technology and...
Yes, I mean with Stingray, I don't know that it advanced particularly to as regards to puppets from Fireball XL5, except of course I think the finish on them was better, and the thing about it was that the fact that it was underwater and working with these tanks and these fishes, and that gave it sort of an extra dimension.
Did you have to change the hair at all? What the hair was made out of as you were working in colour?
No. We used the mohair all the time. You know, as opposed to the Dire Straits ones, which was real hair.
I was about to say, yes.
It's too heavy. it's too thick, real hair. The mohair, the actual hair itself is finer, and it's easier to control, and it's not as wiry. It's better for puppets.
So when Gerry said to you, right, we've got this amazing, huge new series coming along, the big one, you must have all been either daunted or very excited with what's to come.
Well, which one are you talking about?
Thunderbirds.
Well, we didn't know it was the big one in those
didn't?
days. It was just
Another one.
It was just another one. And there is a story which I can't verify, so I will tell it to you afterwards.
Okay.
But because until I can find the girl that I did this with, I've got no proof that it's true. But I'll tell you about it when you've got all this switched off, because it's just you and me and no other witnesses. But no, we didn't know that it was just another series, another space fiction series, and. But I mean, when we began to make the puppets, they did seem as if they were better than the others somehow. But even so, you always get enthusiastic about the new thing that you're doing. No, we didn't know that it was going to be the success that it was until after it had started showing.
But it must have been a bigger project because there were more characters, more puppets.
Well, I mean, each one had to be. We were told it had to be sort of bigger and better than the other ones, and we did try to do this, but we didn't know. I mean, you don't know whether you've got a success. It's the audience that tells you that. And that's after we, sort of started it. I mean, they never used to start showing it until we got, I think it was 5 finished pictures. So we were into the series for 5 months for each picture. It was 5 months, before they started showing it. So because it took that time to make a picture, to get the 5 pictures, and so no, we didn't know. It was quite a long time before we realised that it was as successful as it was.
So how much of a build-up time did you have to actually produce the puppets in? Not just the
we had
puppets.
6 months.
6 months.
And but you see, there were more of us working. I mean, like with Dire Straits, we had 3 months preparation, but there's very few people working on it.
Yes.
Now then, we had 6 months, but there was sculptors. There was myself and Mary Turner, each of which had an assistant. She had Judith Shutt and I had Wanda. And then there was John Glanville, John Brown, and I think there were about 10 or 12 in the workshop, sort of assembling bodies and doing the the mechanisms for the heads were done outside. The hands were made outside. So there was a lot of people actually working on the puppets. The same with the sets and everything else. I mean, there was a staff by that time of about 200 people.
Mm.
So.
And which puppets were you responsible for, Scott?
Yes, he was mine.
And
Connery.
I was going to say.
Yes, he was quite nice to make.
Well, you allowed a bit of freedom there to do.
Yes. Well, you see, here with him, but by this time they were looking for more naturalistic sort of faces, getting out of the caricature that there was in Fireball and Supercar. And they were beginning to turn to, like in Stingray, like with James Garner and Titan and all of those, to film stars, because it's very difficult to describe a face and for you to pick it up correctly from somebody else's description and do it. Reg was an artist, but none of the others were. So the only other way is to look at Spotlight, which is what we did. Some faces would be chosen out, not to copy, but as types. And of course, Sean Connery was the sort of handsome hero at the time. So, and he was young, he was modern. So, happily I was given the job of modelling his face. Well, now then, you say it's a type, but then you show it to somebody, and they say, oh, yes, but Sean Connery's got dimples, or he's got this sort of a nose. So, in fact, it turns out that to be more of a copy than a type, you see.
And what about the personality of the puppets? Okay, you had a script to go by and everything, but...
No, not in those. No, the scripts came... the scripts would be written, or the pilot script would be written, but we hadn't seen it.
But so the personality of the characters came out through
Well,
the storyline?
that only came out after we'd heard the voices. The voices, were... If we'd have been creating our own voices... of doing the speaking, then I think we probably would have got the script beforehand, because that would have to be worked on. But as we weren't doing that, so the actors that were got in to do the voices worked on that. We interpreted what we heard from their voice. We did used to get a script in due course, because we had to know what they were doing, and props had to be made, and so we did get a script, what they were wearing and all that sort of thing. But that was sort of much later on.
Yes. And Alan, were you responsible?
Yes, he was mine. And I wish I could find out the name of him, the actor, but it was in a father and son lawyer series.
American?
Yes. And you still see the man who played the father. He's got... he just uses his initials, like, as it were, A.W. Mason, or something of that sort. But it wasn't that name, but I think, oh, that was who it was, yes, But the son, he was, I can't remember his name at all, but he was, he was quite a sort of popular character at the time, enough for Sylvia to say. He looks young. I mean, this one reckoned to be the youngest.
Right.
Like him.
And John, did you do John?
I didn't make John. Mary made John, and she made Gordon.
Right.
And John Brown made Virgil.
Right. And Jeff?
And Jeff, and the Hood.
And Lady Penelope?
Mary. Parker John Blundell.
Right.
You're
about to say you'd wish
and
you'd
he
made...
made Carano.
Oh, yeah.
And I made Tintin.
Right. And who was Tintin based on? Anybody?
No, and she had to be, sort of an Eastern girl, because Carano was her father, you see.
Because
yes.
In the storyline, she was the lucky lady alone on the island with all these chaps.
Yes. But I think she favoured Alan.
Yes. Although in one of the films he did, in Thunderbirds I Go, when they went off into the hotel in the sky or whatever, he was sort of with Lady Penelope then.
Well, I mean, I suppose they sort of little flutters, didn't they?
And what's this I hear about every night, well not every night, but on some occasions when everybody went home, puppets weren't always left hanging up.
Yes, that's something used to happen during the night. You know? It used to be very compromising positions in the morning when we got there. But I suspect Desmond. Well, I haven't got another tape.
Mine's. Do you want to have this one, and I'll rely on that?
No, it's okay. No, it's just in case, you know, something that I've told you I might not have thought of apart from that.
Okay. So you said Lady Penelope you would have liked to have made.
Well, yes. I mean, are you going to interview Mary?
I'd love to at some stage, yes.
Because I mean, she, you know, sort of could tell you about those things that whether she had any problems with it. I don't know. We've had problems of our own. We sort of weren't conscious of what she was going through.
But which was the most difficult puppet to operate out of those? Was it Lady Penelope because of her hair?
Well, no, not particularly, because Tintin had sort of fairly bushy hair as well. You know, I don't know that I can remember particularly any sort of more difficult to work. I mean, the Hood had his problems because of being bald, and there had to be, say the string went, and you have to sort of thread the string through and sort of tie it off inside the head.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that he was bald, the join in the head had to be sort of, it was joined together, well, with a magnet, but then it had to be sort of sealed over with plasticine, smoothed off and repainted. So that was one of the difficulties with him. You couldn't just sort of take the wig off or comb the wig over the joint, like you can with him, say, or any of the others, or lift the wig up with the girls. I think that was one of the problems with him.
You didn't make that puppet?
No, John Brown made that one.
Right.
Lovely.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm almost slightly sad now that we're starting to come towards the end of the interview with Christine.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that a lot of our podsterons will feel a bit like they know Christine by the end of it.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Because of the amount of stuff we've got through and you know, hearing so much of her story.
Yes.
So if you're getting the feeling that you've got a new sort of an audio Auntie Christine, let us know. And do let us know your favourite bits so far. podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk.
And I think I've said this before, Jamie, I wish I'd known back in the day when I met her in 1994 quite how integral she was to the Gerry Anderson story, because I'm afraid I didn't. And I think if I had known, I would have sat her down and talked to her a bit more about her wonderful memories and her experiences working with your dad.
I know. Well, can you imagine if she was still around now while we've got the podcast going? I mean, we could have a weekly Ask Christine feature and she would be brilliant.
Yeah, she would.
So, yes. But we're very lucky to have what we've got, so...
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Now, over on Twitter, Elliot has hashtagged us Gerry Anderson Podcast. He says, now, do I listen to the Gerry Anderson Podcast today, or do I listen to it on my flight to Chicago tomorrow? Decisions. I'd say
both.
The flight, Elliot, definitely.
Oh, okay.
And Tone says, thanks for dropping the podcast earlier today. Means I'll be able to listen on the way to work. Hashtag deep joy. Hashtag Gerry Anderson Podcast.
Awesome. Yes, we do try and release it about 5 a.m. on our Monday launch day. So
wow, that is early.
Well, just trying to make sure people can get it on their commute into work.
Nice.
Is that all of your tweets and bits and pieces for the moment?
Yeah, that'll do for now.
Okay, well then I feel like we've sufficiently warmed everything up for Chris Dale's marvellous randomizer.
Yeah.
He and Marina continue to travel the universe in various Gerry Anderson craft to choose at random using this ridiculous piece of kit which they carry around in Eagles and get kidnapped for and sometimes lose to Titan, and all sorts of things have happened to it. But somehow they're still going, they're still picking random episodes, and Chris is happily watching them and telling us all about it. So here is your next episode of The Randomizer.
Earth orbit confirmed.
Excellent stuff. That's it, Marina. Soon be home now. Oh, hello everyone. Sorry, no time for a proper introduction today because we're heading home for Christmas next week, and we're not the only ones who are earthbound today. Here's Space 1999. So here we are back in the first season of Space 1999, and it's actually been a very long time since we were last here. Looking at my list, that was Pod 33 with Space Brain.
Cozy round of...
So yeah, it's been a...
Aren't we doing well?
Unlikely, that's not even a word, but it is now. A long time since we were here.
I am shocked.
We're back with a, in my opinion, a much better, much stronger episode than Space Brain was, with Earthbound and the return of Roy Dotrice as Commissioner Simmons.
Longer, that's all, Commander.
Commissioner, we can't encourage false hope. All of us have had to come to terms with life here on Alpha.
Somehow, off screen.
We should maintain it.
Yeah, this is I so wished there could have been some continuation from the first episode, and I think a lot of people did. Like, aside from the fact that they were on course to go to Meta and visit, and then absolutely nothing happened with that. But I think more interesting is the how the Alphans actually sort of addressed the issues of survival, which would have been fairly important priorities at this point.
What kind of a powered object?
So it's nice that the series, although it never quite did a proper successor to Breakaway, it at least remembered, hey, we had this Commissioner Simmons guy around. He was still around when we ended the first episode.
1 and 2 on the pad for immediate liftoff. I want to show our visitors every kind of welcome. And if they're hostile, sir, you'll be the first to know.
Subject, unidentified, powered object.
Oh, a U-Pope.
Object will orbit Alpha position at coordinates 9079.
Yeah, we have an incoming alien spacecraft. Ooh, with people aboard.
Intercept that spacecraft. Liftoff.
When I first saw this episode on the BBC Two run of Space 1999, which they pushed up to episode 2 in the running order, which makes a lot of sense because even though this was produced, I think, as episode 5 and maybe shown as like episode 10 or something like that, it doesn't make any sense for there to be any episodes between this and Breakaway, because I can't believe that, unless he was severely injured, which he wasn't at the end of Breakaway, I can't imagine Commissioner Simmons wouldn't have been right in the centre of literally everything. I mean, can you imagine if Commissioner Simmons was actually on Alpha during Black Sun? There is no way that he wouldn't have been fighting people off left and right to get on that survival ship. As we'll see in this episode, that's an approach to doing things that's gonna cost him rather dearly. But yeah, that was an appreciated nod from the BBC there, I think, to its viewers. I don't know why they made that decision, considering it was like the only time that they actually spared some thought for Space 1999 fans. I mean, at the very early episodes, they were chopping out this episode segment of the opening titles, and then they went on to make a complete hash of things. I think it took them something like, I don't know, 3 years to show the whole series, because they were preempting it and moving it and kicking it about so often. Anyway, BBC ran over.
They're in trouble. They're not going into orbit.
Follow it down, Eagle 1.
And I really like, as well, with this one, the somewhat understated fact that this is essentially humanity's first contact with an alien life form, if you look at it in terms of... Oh, Alan's co-pilot just disappeared there. Of this taking place immediately after Breakaway, as it did in the BBC running order, that they're not sort of... Alpha doesn't immediately leap to like a war footing. They're giving these people like every opportunity to signal their good intentions, and
Get security to join us. Right.
And now they're sending out a rescue team to help the crashed spaceship.
Better come too.
Commissioner, right now I need a doctor and a scientist out there, not a politician.
And of course, that sets up Simmons' role for this episode of being essentially absolutely superfluous to to everyone and everything on Alpha. And in that sense, you can understand his frustration that guides a lot of his actions later on. And Roy Dotrice is a wonderful performance, a wonderful actor giving a wonderful performance. I kind of wish that we could have seen more of him, but I think I'm just so grateful for the fact that they remembered he existed and they brought him back for this. So the Alphans are riding to the rescue in the nice red striped rescue eagles. One of the few times we actually see this one in the series. It's one of those things they dropped for the second year, and I never quite understood why, because it makes so much sense to have...
Looks like some kind of a hatch on the port side.
A dedicated eagle for rescues and a dedicated eagle for science things, and I think they kept the science pod eagle, but the rescue pod eagle just got dropped. I think it's in like one episode. I think it's in Space Warp, actually. In the hangar you see a red striped eagle pod. Otherwise... Oh, but this is something I could never understand. They have a docking tube that extends from the side of the passenger module, even though there's clearly no room on the passenger module set for that thing. And Alan is leaving the rescue pod there, and he's taking the Eagle back to Alpha. Because, they're only going onto an alien spaceship. There's nothing that could go wrong there. Yeah, very odd. I put that down to sort of early episode weirdness. I don't think it ever happened again that they just put a pod out there and then left.
Looks like a central locking point. That's it. Stand back.
I did it. Hooray for me. I mean, Victor did some of the sciencey stuff, but it's mostly me. And I do love this in first season Space 1999 is... seeing the Alphans presented with a mystery and watching them trying to find a way in as best they can with their limited understanding and relatively limited science. In some episodes it kind of unfolds rather slowly, but in this one I think it's a lovely process of seeing the ship and then, as we are now, making our way inside, although everyone's kind of galumping around rather sort of we're in space kind of way. And it almost, this Caldorian, I gave it away, spaceship almost looks a bit TARDIS-y, in fact, were it not for the cases of all the unconscious or hibernating aliens lying about the place.
Suspended animation?
Could be. Tony, go back to the ship. Bring back some lights and Dr. Russell's equipment.
Do you want any beer, John?
Paul, activate gravity control and atmosphere.
So Paul can just press a few buttons, and that's it. Paul has magically sorted it all. Yeah, and Alan is not even waiting on the pad in case they need rescue. He's back in main mission. He's out of his spacesuit.
None of us knows for sure, Commissioner.
Now hold your horses, Commissioner. We're all breaking our necks for a look.
Yeah, I really don't understand why they just left the pod out there. Because if the aliens were hostile, they'd be screwed, the Alphans. They'd be gobbled up.
No heart function, no brain activity.
And as far as I can tell from radio microanalysis, the skin tissue shows no evidence of cell growth.
Well, we've taken every possible precaution. There's nothing else we can do.
Barry Morse is having such fun examining all the strange props. And again, the fact that this interior spaceship looks so much like a TARDIS. He looks so much like the Doctor wandering around in it. So now we're running a screwdriver into one of the hibernation pods, but it doesn't work so well. And we've exploded one of the peoples. That's it. All the aliens are woken up, surrounding John and Helena and Victor. Interestingly, the two security guards seem to have disappeared into thin air. I'm sure they'll be back later on. And of course, the leader of the aliens is none other than Christopher Lee. And the fact that he is Christopher Lee is earning him a advert break close-up. Because he's not happy Helena killed one of his peoples.
All our instruments indicated that life no longer existed.
Only then did we break the seal.
And it's her fault, so don't look at me like that. I didn't do it. yeah, so Christopher Lee playing an alien in Space 1999. And of course, the first season of Space 1999 had a lot of big name guest stars. I don't know if this role is a especially good use of your Christopher Lee. The fact that he is Christopher Lee, the fact that he is this very tall, imposing presence, certainly works in the episode's favour. But I also think, many actors could have pulled off this part to equal effect. But obviously, Christopher Lee adds a bit of gravitas, bit of dignity, bit of selling power for this show. Although I gather that he, in later years, when people were asking him for autographs and such, this was one of the things he wouldn't sign autographs for. I don't know where I picked that up from, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
Have the crash unit stand by. They're going to fly the spaceship in on half power.
Everyone seems very casual about the fact that they are making first contact essentially with aliens. It's like, in the first episode, that was a huge, huge deal that there could be life on Meta. Now it's like, found these aliens, can help them fly their ship back. They also seem to be abandoning the rescue pod entirely. I hope someone remembers to go and pick that up again, because it's probably got the 2 security guards in it. They at least appear in later episodes, so we know they were picked up if they're not on the spaceship. But still, very odd use of the Eagle pod here.
Maintenance crew, prepare to receive alien spaceship.
You what? What the hell do you want us to do with an alien spaceship? What? We don't know any alien space.
Stand by travel tube to alien spaceship. And prepare for visitors.
Yeah, everyone's very, very casual about this, all except Simmons, who's storming off to meet them.
Captain Zanter, Commissioner Simmons.
Your status, please.
Redundant.
I represent Earth Authority here on Moonbase Alpha. And in that capacity, may I say, welcome.
And I do enjoy the relationship between Koenig and Simmons in this episode. I'm not sure how long the series could have sustained that sort of sniping, point-scoring dynamic between the two without it sort of getting redundant. If it was as frequent as, say, the scenes with Straker and Henderson, where it was like, every few episodes you'd get scenes like this, then it would be understandable. But having, Simmons is trapped on Alpha with everybody, it doesn't make sense for him to not be there.
Careful, Koenig. They may not be as friendly as they seem.
Ooh. And of course, this is where we get to see the true colours of the man. Meanwhile, the Kaldorians are giving out eggs.
Accept these gifts as peace tokens from the people of Kaldor.
And one of these female Kaldorians is Rhonda from the Avengers, if that means anything to anybody.
Our people sent out many ships, one to each planet we believed could sustain our kind of life.
And your ship was programmed to land on this moon?
Only to orbit this moon. And then we would reanimate and prepare for the final stage of our journey to your planet, Earth.
Are you aware this moon is no longer in Earth's orbit?
Yes. I fear that random variations in your trajectory and velocity caused our computer to err, and so we have crashed.
Well, it's remarkable your computer was able to find us at all.
It was so programmed. How could it do otherwise?
I love that. That's a very Space 1999 thing. It fits in with the theme of, I think, Another Time, Another Place, where Koenig just says, Victor says, we belong where we belong. It's like, we were programmed to find the moon. The fact that it isn't where it was supposed to be, that doesn't matter. We still found it.
Some of us seem to have lost the will to achieve it.
Ooh. Simmons has got the claws out again.
So your hope is to settle on Earth?
If we are welcome, yes.
Uh-oh.
But if you are not?
In your terms, we would take our own lives.
And I wish there was some way to know what happened to the Kaldorians when they did reach Earth, because
Earth are medically compatible.
I'll help to...
knowing our world, but also knowing the world of Space 1999, where everything is very bleak and pessimistic, I can't imagine that the Kaldorians' arrival on Earth would have gone at all well. even if the moon hadn't left orbit and the Earth is now a wasteland of God only knows what.
All we need is the courage, the vision, and the leadership to seize their ship.
And the Caldorians?
Expendable.
And Simmons' thoughts are turning even more devious. And in fact, there was a rather nice fan fiction out there somewhere. I can't remember what it was called. Actually, I think it might have been Breakaway Part 2, but I can't remember who wrote it. And it was just about what happened to the Alphans immediately following Breakaway. I wouldn't normally bring up fan fiction here, but it gave Simmons such a strong and believable role within the sort of post-Breakaway days on Alpha, in that he actually led a mutiny, a rebellion, in an attempt to get back to Earth, which it's one of those things I wish we could have seen on screen, as to
create a cycle which holds all the
not only how the Alphan community in general adapted to life on Alpha, but how individuals
to human use.
Because nobody, I don't think, is ever shown like in any particular state of shock or grief. Certainly not after the first episode. Everybody just instantly accepts it.
I find you sufficiently human, Captain Santor.
Your beauty would be greatly enhanced by suspended animation, Doctor.
Ooh.
Thank you.
It's
to be perfectly at peace.
Gerry Anderson Big Book of Pickup Lines.
75 years?
The time will pass like a dream, in an instant. We must complete the repairs to our ship and leave within 20 of...
Oh, and even more, to add to the look of the Caldorian spaceship as like a TARDIS, Captain Santor is holding what looks suspiciously like a sonic screwdriver. It has that sort of thin point with a circular attachment on the end.
There is no reason why we should not suspend animation for one of your people.
Well, thank you, Captain. It's a most generous offer.
So they're offering the vacant bed to one of the Alphans.
Process thoroughly and let me know.
But Simmons is all but jumping up and down, squealing like a puppy at the thought of going home.
Captain Santor, will you help us set up the experiment?
Seize their ship, then 6 of us can go home.
Shut up, Simmons. Given any thought what Earth will be like in 2074?
Or whatever it's like.
And I also like how Koenig is now more prepared to stand up to Simmons than he was in the first episode, considering that
this works.
The Earth authority that he represents likely doesn't exist
From
anymore.
Alpha. You'll be eligible like all the others.
Including yourself, of course.
No, don't try to understand why.
And also that he will stay on Alpha no matter what.
I have no place here on Alpha. No function.
Poor old Simmons, he doesn't have any friends this week. And I also do wish Shut Up Simmons had become this show's...
Shut up, Wesley!
John, serious emergency. The spaceship, immediately.
So there we go, we're calling John back to the spaceship from main mission. What's going on now? Oh, Helena's put herself in suspended animation.
She is not dead, Commander. Her life cycle is suspended in time.
If you're so clever with life and death, Captain, bring her out of it.
Okie dokie, pass me a screwdriver.
We're ready to try again, Captain.
Anyway, they're trying to revive Helena using the same noise as the laser barrier around the nuclear waste dumps.
It's not working.
In Breakaway. It's odd with this show, actually. You do get a lot of reused sound effects that are very familiar, very distinct in other episodes. I think we heard the sort of brainwave heartbeat thing from Breakaway on one of the monitors earlier. Anyway,
Commander.
Koenig has now walked all the way back to main mission. Nearly said command center.
Caldorian data through the telemetric computer. Well, the relative position of Earth, sir. It's that away.
Attention, Commander Koenig. Could you please return to the spaceship? We need your advice.
Well, yeah, Bob, I mean, I've only just got back from the spaceship, and now you're going to call me back over there again? But yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Don't worry. Don't worry about my poor feet.
Our mistake was to accept your computer's profile of her without question.
It said she was 23. She's at least 10 years older than that.
But in reanimating from so deep a sleep, there is a danger of cell damage to the brain.
Oh, there we go. Yep. If you're playing the Space 1999 drinking game, brain damage is just like, oh, you down a whole glass for that one.
Captain!
The thing went ping, but it's not going ping anymore. Ooh, But a quick fiddle with the sonic screwdriver and some of the little coloured lights.
We must trust him.
He knows more about coloured lights than all of us put together, John. And that's something that viewers at the time would never have made the connection that, oh, that sound effect was the sound effect they used for the laser barrier in one of the previous episodes. But when you see them all back to back or in close proximity to each other, it does become very obvious. And because they're all quite spacey sound effects in this show, you notice it here far more than you do in like Thunderbirds or Captain Scarlet. You know, an explosion sound is just an explosion sound. It doesn't matter that it sounds the same. Anyway, Helena is now awake. Oh, and she's smiling, and everyone's smiling. So that's okay. Helena's going to be all right.
Rhonda, I have computer's choice for the return to Earth.
Tony Verdeshi? I don't even know a Tony Verdeshi.
We're not even sure the Earth still exists. And even if it does, our families, those we've loved, won't be there anymore.
And again, that's one of the few mentions of the fact that everything and everyone the Alphans knew, even if they could get home, would be gone. In a way, it's kind of nice that that's so understated in this show, but it is one of those things where I wish we could have explored it in more detail.
Mr. Machine, as Commissioner, I'm not part of your team of experts here on Alpha.
Shut up, Wesley.
Welcome back to the land of the living. How do you feel?
No after effects at all.
Thank you.
So while Koenig is distracted, Simmons has swapped comm logs.
The process will work if Captain Santoa's computer has a complete matrix of its human subject.
But if somebody other than Dr. Russell were to go,
then we shall have to make a matrix of the individual you choose.
Oh, and Simmons has already done a runner before he heard that. Oh. And it's I'm interested actually to see what Big Finish do with Commissioner Simmons going forward, because he was in their recent adaptation of Breakaway. He was still survived at the end of that. He was on Alpha, so he's being set up as a regular on that new version of Space 1999, and I'm interested to see what they do with him from this point forward, because
begin the countdown.
You know, this ending, and we are, you know, this is the beginning of the end for Commissioner Simmons, is so memorable and so fitting for the character. I don't know if they'll keep him on permanently or if they'll revisit this ending, but yeah, I'd be interested to see what Big Finish do with Space 1999 in the future.
Of civilization.
Nick, I'm still waiting for that call.
I don't know.
Please.
It is a nice idea.
Uh-oh. Koenig's realised the switch.
Kano! Simmons has my comm lock.
Why'd you let him take it? Kano! Oh. Simmons is zapping all of the extras. We live in the little power station set here.
You're going to do exactly as I tell you.
Simmons?
And the power station seems to be some kind of redress of the command office, Commander Koenig's office, where they were having the meeting earlier.
Open it!
And again, it's an interesting, noticeable touch in the background here. When Commissioner Simmons left main mission, it was 9:05 according to the clock on the comm post, and now in the power room it's 9:08. So people were still paying attention to those clocks in the very early episode. Again, that didn't last for much longer after Breakaway.
Paul, get security to seal off the power station, but no one's to move in until I give the order.
Yes, sir.
Sandra, let's see what he's up to.
Switch it off.
Speaking of reused sound effects, this is the sound effect, I think, from the Dalek control room in the first Peter Cushing Dalek movie.
I know precisely what I'm doing.
Oh, and here the clock now says 9:10. I love the attention to detail like that, and especially in the very early episodes.
Stabilize our backup power.
Trying to, sir.
And I was never quite clear on what exactly powered Moonbase Alpha.
Is my hostage. No one on Alpha will live for more than 30 minutes without this unit in place.
Because in later episodes we saw they had the huge nuclear generator areas, but in this episode we've taken a cylinder out of a hole in the wall, and now the base is in darkness.
It's up to you.
And since this is the power station, we can assume that this is something power-related. It's not specifically the life support system.
Countdown is T minus 28 minutes. Do I continue counting?
Which we saw later in the beta cloud was also a similar tube in the wall that...
Continue.
That was also somehow connected to the lights.
I got to be commissioner by doing what was necessary,
not what was right. Now you have 15 minutes to persuade your alien friend.
And again, with Simmons, there is an element of sympathy there, because he is essentially an outsider in this this setup of Alpha. He now serves no function. It's kind of reminiscent of sort of the Straker-Henderson dynamic that we saw in UFO. He's not necessarily a bad person, he just feels like he's been pushed into doing a bad thing. But ultimately, the difference between, I think if you put Henderson in this situation, he would accept it, whereas Simmons basically doesn't care about any of the other Alphans at this point, I don't think.
We can take him on his way out of the ship.
We can't afford to play games with that converter.
It's wrong, John.
Our wall cylinder thingy.
Commissioner Simmons insists on returning to Earth with you. Unless we agree, he'll destroy Alpha.
Is he capable of carrying out this threat?
He is.
He's stolen our thingy from the wall.
I agree.
It's blackmail.
Let him go, Commander. We'll be well rid of him.
I like that Koenig consults everybody as well before making the decision.
Simmons!
Because in later episodes he did feel like sort of supreme authority, and what he said goes, but here it's nice to see him, gauging other people's opinions and reactions to the situation.
Program Commissioner Simmons restricted access from the power station to the spaceship. Thank you, Captain.
I understand your position, Commander. Commissioner is diseased.
Oh, sick burn. And Simmons doesn't. Simmons just sort of grins smugly. It's that. Yep, I'm scum. I'm scum, and I'm happy with that. Anyway, time to go. Simmons forcing Xanta onto the travel tube. I'm wondering if this is actually the one of the most star-powered Gerry Anderson episodes ever made, because we've got Christopher Lee and Roy Dotrice, who was, he was a pretty big name himself. So now that it's time for takeoff, the TARDIS interior spaceship is glowing all sorts of nice rainbowy colours as the Kaldorians settle down for bed. Now remember earlier that Xantor did say that the computer on the spaceship had only taken a scan of Helena, so if anyone else was going to come with them, they would need to take a scan of them first as well, and Simmons hasn't let him do that. But Simmons hasn't realised that, because he wasn't around for that part of the conversation. He's settling down for bed, the same way he's seeing all the other Kaldorians doing. Oh, the side of the case is sealed. That's it. That's the Kaldorian spaceship safely away. It is a very odd exterior design, the Kaldorian spaceship. It's nice and weird, but the way it flies, it kind of reminds me a little of sort of alien spaceships from Fireball XL5. But it's still a cool design. I seem to remember they made a toy of it back in the day, and that'd be a nice thing to have in a proper model of, I think. Anyway, we're now back on the spaceship. Simmons is waking up, and he's quite happy. He feels okay, but none of the other Kaldorians are waking up. But he doesn't care.
Hello, Earth. This is Commissioner Simmons, returning home after 75 years.
Commander, I'm getting a signal, sir, from the Kaldorian spaceship, from Commissioner Simmons, sir. He thinks he's approaching Earth.
Oh, and this is now, what's about to follow is one of my favourite moments of this show, of any Anderson show.
This Commissioner Simmons.
This utterly horrific, ghastly ending for Simmons.
Xantor knew. He must have known.
No. Now, evidently Simmons didn't give him a chance to make a matrix for his computer.
See, I don't know. Would Xantor didn't push the point about making a matrix for the computer. He was quite happy to let Simmons just lie down and get on with it. Anyway, things are now starting to turn in Simmons' brain. He's seen the time on his comm lock.
That's work.
Which is 11:48, so it's only a couple of hours after he was in the power room.
Send someone to get me, Koenig! Koenig, help me!
There's nothing we can do.
Oh, that still gives me shivers every single time. And now we have Roy Dotrice going absolutely mental in this case.
For God's sake, get me out of here!
His just total desperation, and the fact that this is something that we've all probably imagined at one point, like essentially being buried alive. The absolute horror of this. And so those two Caldorian extras in the background who wake up because evidently they didn't realise that they were on a film set and that there would be an actor in a case behind them going absolutely nuts. But that is just so chilling and so horrific an ending. And it's absolutely in keeping with the tone of this show, that sort of ruthless, pessimistic streak regarding space travel that first began in UFO. Simmons wanted to go home, he got to go home, but of course...
Who did the computer finally choose?
Simmons.
That's it, that's the final twist of the knife. If he just waited, he could have gone, and everything would have been fine. Maybe things wouldn't have been fine when he got to Earth. Maybe Earth would have been a wasteland. I also love that we end with this heroically triumphant music. We got rid of Simmons. Oh. Now, where's Rod Serling to come on and give us a sort of lecture on the irony of that ending? He wanted to go home. He got to go home. In the Twilight Zone. Yeah, that's a really good episode of the first season of Space 1999. There's a few sort of dead, slow moments, but awesome stuff, particularly from Christopher Lee and Roy Dotrice, and of course, that ending is just perfection. More about what you don't see than what you do, but what you do is horrific enough. Poor old Simmons.
Oh, I love that.
Is that because you love a bit of Christopher Lee?
Everything. I love a bit of Space 1999, I love a bit of Christopher Lee, and I love the way they chose to bring back Simmons to kill him off. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's one element where they had a kind of slightly serial element, because obviously 60s and 70s you still can't guarantee broadcast order. Yeah. So having a story like that where you suddenly lost a character, especially because he disappeared for an episode or two, didn't he? That's right.
But that image of him trapped in his Perspex box,
absolutely.
Although you can see it flexing, and it would really quite easily give way. That thing of being trapped in what will become your coffin is just horrible and so dark. But I actually want kind of a reminder of why Space 1999 was so successful, I think, because it did deal with that much darker, grim stuff and left impressions on people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, was it the Caldorians, the aliens? I think. Yeah. Isn't there actually one that you can see moving? Chris may have mentioned that.
Yes, I think there's a bit of a twitch going on.
Yeah.
But we can forgive all that. We can forgive all that because it's just great. So now I wonder what Big Finish will do with Earthbound, if they will indeed do Earthbound for the audio series.
How interesting.
Yeah, another dark and grim ending for Simmons, possibly. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe they won't do that to him. We'll have to wait and find out.
I feel sorry for the actor. We're bringing you back. I remember getting that call from your agent. Imagine that. Yes, they're bringing you back. Remember you did that thing, Space 1999, but they're bringing you back. Oh, fantastic. Well, for the whole series, no, they're going to kill you off.
Yeah. That's it. Richard James. We'd like to bring back Officer Orin for the series first 2 minutes of Space Precinct, and then he's going to be horribly killed by a crashing cruiser.
Do you know what? I'd do it.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
What
actor doesn't like a good death?
Amazing. Anyway, Chris, thank you. On that note, what actor doesn't like a good death? Brilliant. Possibly Simmons. But there we go. That was brilliant. More Randomizer to come.
Yep.
I wonder what will happen across Christmas. I doubt very much that the Randomizer will bring us a Christmas episode, but who knows?
Who knows?
It is random.
It is. That's the whole point.
It is. Anyway, that's the end of Pod 79, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
So, as we get towards Christmas, and hopefully you're all getting some time off and doing some nice sort of family things or some relaxation, etc., it's the perfect time to pop along to the Gerry Anderson YouTube channel.
Of course it is.
YouTube.com/Gerry Anderson TV, where you can idle away the hours. Is that a phrase?
While away the hours, I think.
While away the hours idly.
Arrows.
Oh dear, I wish I was saying words. Anyway, you can while away the hours idly by just passively letting YouTube take you through more and more Gerry Anderson videos. There's so many hours, hundreds of hours, I'm sure, of content on the Gerry Anderson YouTube channel. So pop along there and subscribe. Also, if you've joined us a bit later in the podcast, then why not make the most of the time and go back and listen to some of our earlier episodes?
Yeah.
Because you may well have missed some fantastic interviews with people like Sophia Miles, Lee Sullivan,
Nick Briggs,
Lisa Mazumba,
Chris Packham,
Gary Newman,
McKinnon Saunders,
David Quantick,
Phil Plate,
Tim Beddoes,
Sophie Aldred,
Kevin Grazier,
Shane Rimmer,
David Graham.
Yeah, I'm out. That's it. I'm spent.
It's tough to remember them all because there have been so many, but we've been really lucky to speak to some fantastic people. So if you haven't heard those, then pop back and listen. And in fact, if you have, maybe you want to revisit some of them. Let us know your favourites. We'd love to know, actually, what has been your favourite interview so far.
Yeah.
Email us podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. Make sure you've subscribed. Do us a rating and a review.
Yeah, do.
It will be your Christmas present to us.
Yeah, lovely. That'd be nice.
We'd be super great, but you'd have to wrap it. You'd have to write a card.
Doesn't cost you anything.
Very little thought required. So,
I'm going to post it.
Perfect Christmas present for me and Richard.
Yeah.
And until Pod 80, we'll leave you to it. Have a lovely week or weekend or whatever time of the week it is. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Stage 1 complete.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Well, there we are then.
I think my brain and tongue seem to have stopped talking to each other.
Yes. Well, no one will notice. I wouldn't worry about it. We're used to it.
Nobody's listened to this bit anyway, have they, really?
No, exactly.
That's the beauty.
Don't you know how I spent my day today?
Yeah, okay.
Dressed as a nurse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, shall I post some pictures?
Is that a Christmas present for Charlotte?
No, it's purely in a professional capacity, of course.
What, are you a part-time nurse now?
Not with these hairy legs, I don't think, no.
You're Richard James, actor and phlebotomist. That is a blood-taking person, isn't it, I think?
It is, yes. Right,
yeah, nice. Oh, well, I look forward to seeing those pictures, as I'm sure some of our Podsterons will.
They might do.
But maybe you should do like a PG rating on the post.
I think I ought to, yes. Those with a nervous disposition look away now, that sort of thing.
You in a nurse's uniform, that's pretty niche. And, Well, I look forward to hearing what you get up to next week. If this week was nurse's uniform,
I shall let you know.
Yeah, I can't wait. But no need to send me the pictures, all right?
Bye.
Bye, Nurse James.
You have been listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Wasn't it fun?